that youth forums are not succeeding to effectively use social media channels that are at disposal for them. So that's why we actually begin with this kind of process. So again, thank you very much for joining us. The topic that you will try to make closer and more familiar to our participants is how to deliver messages through social media channels, and of course how to measure if we succeeded to with what we want initially, of course. So I will give floor to you, and I will try to add other people, of course, while you're talking. And do you know how to share the screen? Just close this plus button. It's very easy.
Plus button. Yeah,
there is a plus button, and share the screen.
Yes, share screen.
And then you just select your PowerPoint, and we will all see your PowerPoint.
That's right.
Okay, very easy.
I'm gonna try to put my PowerPoint on full screen.
Okay.
Because I think you're able to see my screen right now. I'm gonna
Here it is. Great.
It's there. Then I'll try to put it on full screen now.
Oh, it is on full screen.
It's working. I think it is.
Yeah, it is on full screen. It's great.
Great. Okay. Do you want me to start now, or are we still waiting?
Of course, you can start, and I will that's experience from the previous webinars, and in the meantime I'll of course add more people. So please, you can start. You can firstly introduce yourself more closely, what you're doing, what's your position in the youth forum. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll head over to my next slide, which is actually the introductions.
Oh.
My name is Klaas Valking, which you've all heard from Danko. I work for the Christian Democratic Youth Appeal, which is the youth organization for the largest conservative party in Holland. We've got around 1,700 members, and we're the third largest party in our country. So we're doing okay. We used to be bigger. But we're getting back, so that's a good thing. I'm a board member at our national board. I'm responsible for everything we do with our communication and our campaigns. And I'm also second vice chair. So I do all our social media activities, the making of the videos, or overseeing making of the videos, getting them online, thinking out our social media strategy, and putting it to work. There is something I need to say before we start this presentation. I have the tendency to speak very fast, so if there's any of you who think that I go too fast, please do go on your microphone, scream at me to stop, and I'll go a bit slower. And if everything is right, I'll go to the content of my presentation now. And I think it is, so we'll just move on. For this webinar, I'm going to start with a bit of a recap of what Olga already told you, so your social media strategy and how to use it. Then we'll move over to what I want you to take away from my webinar. I'm going to talk a bit about using a brand Bible, which is something we're using currently, and we rely on it a great deal in terms of our social media strategy, our planning, and making everything consistent at our end. Then we'll move over to finding out what works for you and your audience. We'll go on to building on success, and we'll have a quick Q&A at the end of the presentation. I'll move over to the social media marketing strategy. This is a bit of a recap of what Olga already told you guys in the previous episode of the webinars. Mainly, the thing you should keep in mind is what are your goals? Are you on social media to get more members? Are you there to get more votes for your party? Or are you there to raise funds? Or are you selling goods? It's important that when posting that you keep in mind what it is you're trying to achieve. are you there to indeed get more votes? Then you might want to consider another type of approach to your audience than when you're trying to get more members. Because when going after votes, we as youth organizations don't only go after our own audience, which is to about 30 years old, but we go a lot older, because the things that interest us will also interest people a bit older. So we adapt our use of tone, the usage of image to larger audience. Did somebody say something?
No?
No. Okay, then I'll move on from our social media strategy as a whole to the social media strategy we're using and how to put your platforms in there. As an organization, we are currently using a form of marketing which is called content marketing. There basically are two types of marketing around. You've got your inbound marketing, your outbound marketing. Content marketing is a way of inbound marketing. I do not sadly have the time to explain to you guys what content marketing is. It is something you should Google after this presentation because it's a remarkable thing. But for this presentation, it mainly goes to show you, as described on this platform, you see the funnel in which our audience will be, or our voters will be. They'll be in the see phase, think phase, do phase, or care phase, and we'll adjust our social media platforms accordingly. And we'll fit our social media platforms into the phases our voters or our members or soon to be members are in. So we'll start with a member. We'll always start at the C point in our strategy. It's the time they first get aware of the existence of our party, and the first time they really see it. So that can be an ad we're running on Facebook, or it can be a slide on our website which they stumbled on, or it can be a news article. It's just creating awareness around your brand or around your party. Then the think phase is where they are considering to be either a member or considering to vote for you. And we adapt our platform. So in the think phase, we use a lot of Facebook to try and get people to understand what our party means more deeply, trying to get them involved. And then the second phase is the action phase. And in the action phase, we'll try to get them to vote for us and try to get them to become a member. And the last phase is our care phase. So just like Olga said, she's using a bit of the same strategy. She's using her Instagram in her care phase. So the phase where her current members are in and her current voters are in. And we're using it the same way. We've got Instagram over there. We've got our Facebook at our think and do phase. We've got our website and our print articles at our see phase. That will be all for our content marketing strategy, which again is something which I do not have the time for explaining. So which is something you should Google to try and fit it into your social media strategy. Moving over to the last sheet of mainly the strategy point I'd like to discuss with you, and that's an English saying which goes, "Don't build your house on rented land." What I see youth forums, but also companies do a lot, is just pumping in money into their social media accounts to try and get more likes and try and get more followers. The bad thing is that by building an audience on somebody else's platform, like Twitter or Facebook, that you aren't sure if 100% of your followers or your likers will see your post. So for instance, if I put out a post on Facebook and it gets 10 likes, then I won't be sure my whole audience has seen it. And the thing I do when creating content and when creating a message is that I really want people to see it, because I've got my interesting news about my organization or my new standing on certain policies, and I want people to actually know where I stand and what I do. And the problem with Facebook is not getting your message out there. The same thing is for Twitter, which I can put things on there, but I am largely relying on another platform to get my message out there. So the thing I'm trying to do is get my audience from my Facebook and from my Twitter to my website. or to becoming an email subscriber or a print subscriber, so that I know with greater certainty that they've seen my message. If I send somebody an email, I'm sure he will at least see the headline, maybe read our contact, but one thing I'm sure of, that he has gotten my message. If I post something on Facebook, I'll never be sure if you've seen it, let alone will I know if even half of my audience will have seen it. And that's why I'm trying to get more people from my Facebook audience to my email audience. We've got this great JBoo sheet, which is followed by Joe Posinci. He's a content marketing expert, and he's following the same line. He's saying, get your audience off of Facebook and onto email, print, and website visitors. We've used this strategy while campaigning for national elections last March. We tried to get them off of Facebook, and we managed to get around 150,000 email subscribers extra, which we send, content referring to our candidates, content referring to specific issues we were caring about, and thus contributing to a win last March. So we really try to contact with them, to get in touch with them more directly through our email and print methods, and less through our Facebook options. But in order to get them there, to get them to your own platforms, you first need to have your Facebook and your Twitter and your Instagram platforms up to date. And that's what we'll be talking about today. So I'm going to give you one thing to take away from my webinar, and the thing I'm going to want you to take away from my webinar refers to the two topics I was asked to discuss. Those are delivering of your message and measuring their success. And I'm going to give you an example of a company who's really great at doing all of that, and that's one of my favorite companies in the whole world. It's Starbucks. And the reason I've chosen Starbucks as an example, well, there are actually two reasons. One reason is that I am really addicted to Starbucks. So I love drinking it, and I love going to Starbucks with my friends. That's one reason. The main reason is that Starbucks is one of the best at marketing among millennials. Millennials being the same group as our political young youth organization, but I believe your political youth organizations as well are targeting. Starbucks is viewed the world most favorable among millennials. Everything in their marketing clicks. You'll see that their advertisement, their logos, their branding is all uniquely designed with around one pattern, which is their logo, their house colors, and their tone of voice. They're all consistent. That great branding comes from actually just writing down a strategy and sticking to it. And we'll move over to something we're using right now. It's called a brand Bible. And this is the main thing we're using to keep our message straight, to make sure people watch our social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Twitter or Instagram, always see the same style, see the same logo, and get the same contact. That really helps us with getting more recognition and getting more likers. And also our tone of voice within each social media platform will be the same and will be described within our brand Bible. A brand Bible is a book consisting of about 10 pages, which describes who you are. So in our case, it describes, hey, we're the young conservatives. This is where we stand for. This is our mission. Those are our goals. It describes who our audience is. So in our case, that will be young people aging 18 to 30, who are slightly higher educated, and just a typical description of your audience and of somebody who's liking our page or who's following us on Twitter. We've got their bios described in our brand Bible, and the main part of our brand Bible consists of which tone of voice do we use, how should our logo be used, which colors are we using, and how should we use those colors, which typeface are we using if we go to print, or if we're designing images for our social media, and our overall styling. So how do we keep all of the things we're using into one pattern? And a brand Bible is a really good thing to help you keeping those things consistent. So the thing we do when designing new content for our platforms is we'll start with an ID, like, hey, we've got a new standing on education, which we want people to know about. And we'll go to our brand Bible and say, okay, I've got this nice picture about education. Which type of logo am I going to put under it? Which kind of tone of voice will I use on Facebook to get my message out there? It's all written down in my brand Bible. And I would really advise you to, after this presentation, go onto Google and Google Skype's brand Bible as an example, because they've done a really good job at creating a small brand Bible which consists of everything you need to know and everything your audience needs to know. So I'd really encourage you to go there. Yeah. And once you've got your brand Bible, once you've decided, okay, I know what my message will be, I know which kind of colors I'll be using, then the next thing you should do is be consistent at it. So you're going to be consistent, like Starbucks is on this thing, on this indoor platforms. You'll see that they're using their logos on all their social media platforms. You'll see that they're using cover photos, which are largely themed around the same thing. So they're brownish. They all have this warm filter around them to really make you feel at home. And those are the kind of themes you want to create with your audience. So in my case, I'm using a lot of green and orange, as those are my the two colors my brand is using, and trying to put them out there. And we'll move over now to the testing. Finding out what works for you and your audience is about doing research. And you'll see my Starbucks image again. One thing Starbucks is really good at is finding out what their audience likes. So they'll do coffee testings, but they'll also do social media testings, trying to see what clicks with their audience. And that's the same thing you should do. I like to use platforms like Twitter and Facebook Insights to just see how my posts are doing. So I'll post maybe once or 2 times a week when my week isn't that busy, or up to 5 times when I've got a busy week, like during a campaign. And the thing I'll do is at the end of the week see what my post did. So I'll check my Facebook post to see, hey, how many people did it reach? I'm going to go onto Twitter Analytics to see how my week did, which post really stood out and which post didn't. And collecting it all in I use a journal. Other people use Microsoft Excel or spreadsheets to get it all in there, because the thing you need to do is keep your data there, so that the next time when you're posting, you can go back and think, hey, my last post on education worked really well. Let's go back, see what I did right over there, and try and use it again. There are third-party platforms which you can use, like Hootsuite or a CRM system. The problem with those two is that Hootsuite has a free option, but it's quite poorly made, and CRM systems are quite expensive. So I really encourage you to just use your Facebook Insights, use your Twitter Analytics to see what works, and just try. Just put content out there, and if it works, write it down, write down what you did, write down why you think it worked, and use it again. Next thing, think before you post. And that's just my general team. And through the whole presentation, you'll see that I always look at my content Bible. I'll always go back to my data to just think about what did I do, why did it work, why is this picture working and the other picture isn't. And then I'm using that data really to build my new posts. So mainly my posts will more or less be a mix of old posts than really new ideas, because in the past, I think 5, 6 years that we've been using Facebook now, and we've been just seeing what works and what doesn't. We've got a nice strategy developed there, and that makes planning content really easy, because you just look at what you did last year and you'll try it again. Well, from your data, you'll see when your audience is online and what they like. We talked about what they liked, but it's also good to just see when they're online. Facebook has a really nice stat into showing you when your followers are online. Use those numbers just to plan out your social media activities. So you'll go online, you go to your Facebook statistics, and you'll see, hey, my followers are always online about 4 o'clock midday, or they're always around 2 or around 5, and you'll post at those times. You post around 4 if your audience is always online at 4. Post around 5 on a Tuesday if you know they're always online at 5 on a Tuesday. You just make sure you get more likes, because the way Facebook but also Instagram works, that they'll show the posts to get the most traction. So you're trying to get traction as soon as possible, trying to get people to like your post as soon as possible. So you start by putting your post out there when your audience, the target group which you know will like your post, is online. And you're trying to get them to see it, to quickly like it, so that it gains traction. So Facebook algorithms will say, hey, this is a nice post, we should show it to more people. And if your audience is online at that moment, those people as well will start liking it, it will gain more traction, and you'll get better results. To give you an example of data we're using, we just had our elections for our new chair. A lovely lady became our new chairwoman. We posted a picture of her, I think, about an hour after she was elected, and just at the right time. So it was around Saturday at 6 o'clock. That's when most of my followers are online. We posted the photo, it gained real traction, and within, well, I think an hour, it became one of our best posts ever. So we noticed that her picture was working, so we tried it the next day again at the time which we knew our followers were online. We posted another picture, and again it became one of our best posts ever. So at that point we realized, hey, we've got something here. Her picture is obviously working with our audience. Let's try it again next week. And we tried it again, and again that post went into our top 10 of best posts ever. So it's just seeing what works and scheduling it again, and trying to make it work again. And it will, because your audience doesn't change views overnight. Something they like now, they'll still like in a week from now or a year from now. They're very consistent, so don't overdo it. So I'm not going to show that photo 10 times a week, because my audience will get bored of her. But it is a good thing to just use it again after a week or the week after that, and just trying to get that content out there and trying to really repeat what's working for you. Scheduling is something Olga has already talked about with you. She has shown you her calendar, which consists of all her posts she has thought of for the next coming weeks. We're using the same system. As a paper guy, I like to write it down instead of having it on my computer. That's something that's completely up to you. As long as there is a schedule, and as long as the posts you have thought of using are on there, and as long as you use your data to create the content you're putting into your planner. Let's see, I've got actually 3 more slides for you. The next thing is the Unicorn Frappuccino, which is also from Starbucks. What Starbucks did is they created something made for sharing. They thought, I've got my audience, they're millennials, the things they like are weird things like unicorns. Let's make a drink out of it. They created this unicorn drink, they created a beautiful piece of content around it online, and people went on sharing it, and it became a hype. We're trying to do the same thing with our content. We're trying to make it stand out from the crowd, We're trying to create content every time again, just content people want to share, people want to see, and not just the things we as a board find interesting. For example, we love it when we're changing our house rules as a board because it's important and everybody needs to stick to our house rules, so we're loving it. And if we post about it, we'll be really proud because we changed our house rules. We want everybody to know it, but my audience really doesn't care or couldn't care less about our house rules, so they'll not like it, so they won't like it. And my post will die somewhere in Facebook algorithm with 2 likes. The better thing I can do is just put up a picture from this amazing party we had with our youth organization and our party leadership, because I know my audience will like it, will share it, and more people will see it. And that just goes to say, think about the things you post. Think every time again, think, is this something I've used before? Yes. Did my audience like it? Yes. Okay. And then go on and post it. If you think, no, yes, I've used it before, and no, my audience didn't like it, then please do not post it. Please put it in your newsletter where you know people will see it. Put it in your magazines if you're using them, but don't put it online because people won't like it, and it will just do harm to your stats. Facebook algorithm will think, hey, this page is posting images people do not want to see, or posting content people do not want to see. I'm going to stop for a minute with pushing their content. And they know, Facebook algorithm knows when your page is losing traction. So please keep in mind every time you post, is this something my audience wants to see? Is this something my audience wants to share? And then moving on to our last sheet. We've been through them quite quickly. And that's just your new rule when creating content. Every time, no matter what you do, think, what would Starbucks do? If you go to create a new piece of content, you're going to go through the same steps of Starbucks does, which is looking back to your data, seeing, hey, what worked before, using that again, really using your brand Bible in it. So you've got your content, which is approved by the things you know from the past, which is approved by the things you know from your brand Bible. Then you post it, and when you post it, you'll measure, just like Starbucks does, what your success rates are. So you'll go to see, hey, this post is working again. You'll put it in your data again, and the next time over, you use the same data and you start at the beginning again. And I believe I rushed through a few things, but I think I've covered. Yeah, we're at the end. So that's it. I'll now be answering a few questions.
Thank you very much, class. Now I can say that we are a little bit jealous because we don't have in the region the Starbucks, you know.
You don't?
We don't. Somehow all famous brands came to Balkan, you know, but only thing we're missing is Starbucks, and
it's the only thing you're missing, Starbucks.
It's not the only. It's unfortunately not the only, but one of the major brands I would like personally to see around is Starbucks, but somehow it didn't happen.
We've got them around every corner here.
I know.
Yeah. No. Are there any questions?
Yeah. So please. Colleagues, if there is any question related to what class just talked about, or anything else you would like to ask. Peric is asking, how often do you email news?
That's really depending on if we're in a campaign or not. If we're in a campaign, we'll email our voters, because we've got a voter database set up, and we'll email them 2 times a week. Our normal newsletters that go out to our members will go out once a month, and we'll send them extra emails when we've got activities like our conventions coming up, and we'll send them a few more. When we've got elections of our board coming up, we'll send them a few. It really depends on the situation. But typically once or two times a month, and we've got 4 times in a year our magazine, and yeah, we'll send our magazine both on paper and digitally to our members. So that's another email.
I have one question in the meantime. Do you use any kind of mail services such as Mailgun or MailChimp or something like that? Because I personally started using them quite recently and discovered that they are very, very interesting and useful.
Yeah, we use MailChimp for our campaign, for our election campaign this year, and for our for emailing to our members, we use Weebly Promote, which is something that came with our website, and which also has the stats, so which will also show how many people have opened my email, where it bounced, if they clicked any links. So it provides the same services as, for instance, MailChimp would do. Yeah.
Okay, so I just posted a link for MailChimp. I mean, in my case, it proved to be very, very, very useful. And can you type? What's the other piece of?
Yeah, I'll try to. I'll just stop my my screen sharing for a moment. Let's see. Yeah. Going back to my keyboard now. I'm having some trouble. It's my first time using Skype, so I'm having some trouble getting them in there. Shall I put them on the mail?
Okay, of course. And then I can share with participants, of course.
We'll do, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, so we have another question. Do you send the news in HTML format, or does the user read the news inside email, or send them to a website?
No, I'll when emailing, I'll send them in HTML format with a option from them for them to just view it online or view it in a normal, say print version.
Okay. So Dimitar is asking which is the most influential social network in Netherlands for political marketing.
We're using Facebook as our main source of communicating with our audience because it's the largest platform used in the Netherlands. In terms of marketing, again, we're using the content marketing, so we'll try and get people off of Facebook. So we'll make links, getting them to our website, and from there on, getting them onto our mailing list. So we'll start at Facebook. And the good thing about advertising on Facebook is that we can link our Facebook ads to Instagram, which a lot of young people in the Netherlands are using. So we'll advertise on Facebook and on Instagram at the same time, trying to get them to our website and trying to get them to sign up for our newsletters. And the main thing we're using in terms of getting people to give us their mail address is using petitions. So this election, we started a petition to get people to stop raising student debts because we were approaching a student debt crisis because our last government, which we weren't in, decided to stop free education and to make students take out youth loans. So we started a petition against it. And that petition got about 100,000 signatures, so email addresses which people left. And as soon as they left their email address with us, we started to email them, hey, we've seen that you signed on to our petition, that you want to stop this. The thing you can do to really stop this problem from happening is to vote for us in the election coming March. And we'll send out emails from our candidates to them. Again, with saying, hey, if you want to stop this problem of the petition you've signed, you should vote for this candidate because he or she wants to stop it and wants to get rid of it. So we really tried to first get people interested into what we're doing, get them to sign on through a petition, and then afterwards start marketing to them through email.
Yeah, thanks. I also have one question, and Perica just came with another one. I will follow him. How do you measure the efficiency of an email newsletter?
We'll use the statistics provided by MailChimp or the other the platform we're using, Weebly, to just see how many people have opened it, but also to see if they clicked it and went onto our website. And if they're onto our website, we can see by using Google Analytics and also using a bit of MailChimp and a bit of our Facebook pixel, just kind of see where they went from entering our site. Did they go to our standings? Did they go to our candidates? If they went on our website, did they search for instance, our standings on education, so that we know, hey, this person B, is interested in education. He has been on our website before, so he knows who we are. And then we'll go back to Facebook and we'll market him there, specifically him, and we'll show him only things considering education, and as well as in my email marketing, in my email newsletters I'm sending him, I'll only send him topics referring to education, because I know it's something he's interested in. So I'm only going to send him things that he likes. I'm only going to send him education things from my standings through email, and I'm only going to show him education stuff on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram.
Yeah, thanks. So practically are combining different statistics in order to get the bigger picture.
Yeah.
My question would be something that's maybe not so relevant for your context, but I think for Balkan context it's quite relevant. How large autonomy youth organizations in Netherlands have in terms of campaigning and social media campaigning? I mean, are you more or less very closely linked to Mother Party when communicate to young people, or you can say that you have a, let's say, more significant autonomy in this kind of communication?
That really depends on the time we're in. When we're into really trying to get into this campaigning season, and when we're on the campaign trail, then we're all on the same team. So we'll be sending out things to support each other. So they'll be sharing our content and we'll be sharing theirs. But when the campaign is over, those things really split. So we're now into the phase of forming a government here in the Netherlands. And you'll see, as a political youth organization, we're trying to push our own agenda in there, and then we'll split. So we'll push for the things we want, and our mother party will push for the things she wants, and that will result in us, pushing out press releases in terms of, I want you to not go into a government if this thing isn't taken care of, and our mother party will say, will hate us for it most of the time, but we'll try to influence them that way. So just putting out articles online, but also offline, to try and influence that process, trying to tell people what we think as a youth organization, and that doesn't have to be the same way as our mother party is thinking about certain objects. For instance, in the Netherlands, we've got quite the drugs and alcohol problem, mainly drugs. And we've got the city of Amsterdam. Yeah. So as a youth organization, we're a bit more liberal on our drug standings. So we're okay with marijuana being sold, and we're okay with people occasionally using it. But our mother party is very strict. And they want no usage, they want it banned, and they want the police to just really go really hard on it. And during the campaign, we'll be following their line. So we'll be saying, yeah, I know we have we have our differences on this issue, but we'll go with them until after the elections. And when the elections are passed, we'll go back to our mother party and say, okay, we supported you through the election. Now we really like you to move a bit more towards us and just to give us. I know you don't want marijuana, but can we maybe get it regulated by the government? Trying to get the police a bit less hard. Can we at least let people use it at home? And in that way, really try to find that compromise, and we'll find it if we can't find the compromise indoors with just our normal meetings, we'll go online and we'll post our new standings on this issue. We'll go find a newspaper who wants to listen to us, and we'll really push our content, and we'll just trying to get them publicly to get more in line with our opinion.
Thank you very much. So colleagues, are there any more questions for class? Anyone is interested in anything else regarding the topic that class was talking about, or anything else? Okay, before departing class, I would like to thank you very, very much for this insightful and very interesting presentation. I really believe that our participants will benefit from it. We have this kind of let's say tradition to send to the rest of participants the recording of this Skype webinar. Are you okay with it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So everyone who didn't make it for today's webinar will get the YouTube link, and also I will send also to you to have this in your archive. The webinar, this great webinar you did. So everyone that are included in this process will be able to see what you were talking about in last 45 minutes. Tomorrow we are continuing with the process. This process actually includes 4 webinars, and in terms of political spectrum, 3 of them will be done by youth forums from the right side of political spectrum, and only 1 will be done by youth forum on the other side, on the left side. We'll have Yasmina. She's actually from Balkan. I didn't know it's really happened. I was surprised to see someone in charge of communication in the youth of the Social Democratic Party of Sweden. She's actually from Banja Luka, from Bosnia, but she will of course talk in English tomorrow about content and storytelling, another very interesting topic. So dear colleagues, be with us again tomorrow, not at 4 but at 6 p.m. We'll also dedicate some 45 minutes to 60 minutes for this webinar. I will also send you the reminder during the day and the link to this the recording of this webinar. And I will announce now another thing, that our live event that will follow these 4 webinars will take place in Macedonia, actually, Dimitar and Boris. It's in the lovely Ohrid Lake. So we were really lucky to get this place during summertime, because it's really crowded. So this will be opportunity for some live trainings. You will get the program very, very soon. We are working currently on the program, but you will receive the draft of the agenda until the end of the week. And it's from 14, as I announced, to 16 of July. I will also contact you about this through email. So just have that in your mind and book these dates for this also very interesting event. Again, thank you very much to all of you for participating in this webinar. And again, class, really many thanks for being ready to join us for this interesting process. I like your presentation very much, very interesting. I'm just again, I must say, sorry for the Starbucks that we cannot learn from Starbucks in this region, but I hope that it will change at some point.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, thank you very much, and we will stay in touch, Klaus.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All the best. See you tomorrow. Bye. Cheers.